The Q&A will be posted on the website as well with questions, and then the questions that we're receiving today, we are going to capture those and include that in the Q&A, other than any administrative stuff regarding the presentation. But other than that, we can go ahead and get started. So you are here for the San Diego Community Power pre-proposal meeting. This is for the RFP 25009 for load forecasting and scheduling coordinator services. The agenda that we're going to go over today is we're just going to talk a little bit about who Community Power is, just some general RFP information, the submission requirements for the RFP, evaluation and selection, exceptions to the agreement, and then scope of work and Q&A at the end. So feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A box. I will just say I'm trying to keep an eye on it. But if you can just be specific in case I missed it, that way, if I have to come back to it, I'm clear on what your question was regarding. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Crystal Carranza. I am the procurement analyst assigned to this request for proposals. And I also have Janine here with me. Go ahead. I don't know if you want to say hi, Janine.
Yes. Hello, I'm Janine Camara. I'm the Director of Portfolio Management. And yes, thank you, Crystal, for getting me through this.
So I'm going to be facilitating most of the meeting. I'm going to focus a lot on the RFP and the requirements and information, just to make sure that you pay attention to the important areas in the RFP. And then Janine at the end will talk about the scope of work a little bit more in depth, and we will allow you to ask questions at the end. Again, feel free to drop in questions, but I may not get to them immediately as we go through it. So a little bit about Community Power. Our San Diego Community Power is a nonprofit public agency. So we are a government agency, and we bring clean energy at competitive rates. So we are an SDG&E competitor. We provide reliable, affordable electricity to nearly 1 million customer accounts in the cities of Chula Vista, Encinitas, Imperial Beach, La Mesa, National City, and San Diego, as well as the unincorporated communities of San Diego. So the way it works is that we purchase electricity from renewable resources or sources, and then SDG&E delivers the power and manages the grid infrastructure, and our customers enjoy cleaner power at competitive rates. So it's not as simple as that, but it's as simple as that. So some general RFP information. I do want to provide some disclaimers. So by participating in the RFP, you are acknowledging that you've read and understand and agree to the terms and conditions set forth in the RFP. So we ask that you review the document in its entirety and submit any questions regarding anything that is in the document. The RFP does not constitute an offer or acceptance or create an obligation for us to enter into an agreement with any party. It does not mean that we are going to enter into any negotiations. We are not bound by the terms of any proposal until we've signed an agreement with a selected proposer. So just to make that clear. And then Community Power may, at its sole discretion, accept or reject any or all proposals submitted in response to this RFP. It is important that you pay attention to the requirements and the required documents to ensure that you're submitting a full and complete proposal package. And if there are any discrepancies between the RFP, anything that's said in this meeting today, or anything in the slide deck, we refer you to reference the official RFP document. If anything that is said at this meeting, a question or anything that is brought up, if we decide that that requires a change to the RFP, it will be done via an addendum. And then the addendum will be published on our website, just so that you are clear. And then I do want to just remind everyone, before you're submitting your proposals, make sure that you're checking our website regularly for any addendum. Generally, notices are sent out, but if you're not receiving notices regarding this solicitation, you may not receive notice around the addendum. So just check the website. It would be in the same place where you found the RFP. And that goes to my next notice. So, and then the Q&As will be published on our website. So ideally, I think our intent will be to publish them as we can. If we get a significant amount of Q&A, we will try to publish them earlier and then maybe refresh them later as well. But we have a Q&A date that we're going to be, I think I'll go over that in a second. I have the dates in the slide deck regarding when the questions are due and then when we're publishing the Q&A document. And let's see. Okay, so communications regarding the RFP to ensure a fair and transparent procurement process and to avoid any perceived conflicts of interest. Emails and communications regarding the RFP should not be sent to anyone that is not listed in the RFP document. Your questions should be submitted via the Q&A links that are provided in the RFP as well as posted on our website. If the Q&A period has ended, so our Q&A period ends on July 24th for both categories at 9 a.m. If you missed that deadline, we're not taking questions beyond that date. I do want to note a few things. If you are having technical issues, you should email the email that is listed here for the procurement team. And then if you have any questions specifically around the procurement process or documents, or you find an error or something like that, you can also send an email to that email address. Other than that, your opportunity to ask questions about the actual RFP, the scope of work, and anything regarding requirements, that should be submitted by July 24th. If it is discovered that a proposer contacts and receives information from Community Power personnel, board director, or alternate outside of this Q&A process, Community Power may disqualify the proposer. So I just want to make sure that we are capturing the questions and making sure that the Q&A is available for all to see, just to, again, ensure that the process is fair. So I'm going to talk about the scope of work categories. For those of you who have seen the RFP, it is identifying two categories of work. There's category A, which is load forecasting services, and then category B, which is scheduling coordinator services. So there are 3 tasks identified under each category. And so the options for submitting are that proposers may submit a proposal for category A, category B, or both categories. Proposers may also submit a proposal for any single or multiple tasks. So you are not required to submit on all 3 tasks for category A or all 3 tasks in category B. You can choose which tasks you are submitting to. And I do want to note for category A, there is an optional task 3, and that task that task is available for whoever's submitting to task 1, and you are encouraged to propose on that task as well. So if you are proposing on task 1, please consider proposing on task 3 as well. So again, as mentioned, there are 2 categories here, and so the timelines for both categories do change just a bit. They're slightly different. There are some dates that are different. So the Q&A period for both categories ends on July 24th at 9 a.m. On July 31st, that's the date that we intend to publish all final questions and responses. And then for category A specifically, the proposals are due on August 7th at 5 p.m. So, and then we do want you to also reserve the dates for interviews for August 26th through August 29th, and just kind of have those dates on your calendar, just because you will, if you are invited to interviews, we would invite you and coordinate interviews, but only for those dates. This schedule may change, so if there is a delay in anything, we may publish an addendum for that. For any of the administrative things beyond the interview date, we may not issue an addendum for those things, because those things are not those things are dependent on negotiations and board approval and all of that. So just so you are clear, let's see. Okay, and then so for category B, the timeline again, questions are due the same on July 24th at 9 a.m. and we intend to post responses by July 31st. These proposals are due a week later on August 14th. Please pay attention to times for each date, they do vary. So note that the meeting today was at 2:30. The questions are due at 9 a.m. and then the proposals are due at 5 p.m. So please make sure that you're paying attention to those times. So some of the submission requirements or the submission requirements, they are identified in the RFP. So the first thing to know is that we require a separate submission package for each category. So if you are a proposer who is proposing on category A and category B, you will need to submit separate categories. There are separate submission links for submitting your proposal. So please note that you will have to create, there are some documents that you may be able to duplicate, but you will need to submit two separate packages. And so for each category, the format to be followed is we are asking that you use Calibri 12-point font, single space with 1-inch margins, a single combined PDF document. So you should collect all of the documents that you have and submit it as one single PDF. So it would not be separate attachments. So just keep in mind, oftentimes that may take some time to prepare. So please just plan for that. The content should be organized in the specific order listed below. So we've described the list of items to be included in the content. The first item is table of contents, a cover letter, your experience and qualifications, your proposed approach narrative, your budget, your resumes, your references, which you can use attachment E to list those out, and then the bonus points. And when you're looking at the RFP at the formatting content section, it will have these items explain more in depth, and then any specific requirements or page limits that are identified for those. The third item is required attachments. So attachments C through F are required to be submitted with your proposal. And again, this applies for each category that you are submitting on. And so attachment C is the submission checklist. And if you haven't seen the RFP yet, it is a checklist where we are asking you to identify which category and tasks you are submitting for, and then a list of the items, again, that we just went over, just as a checklist to make sure that you've included them. And then it also has the links on where to submit your proposal. Let's see. So again, this is what I was mentioning, the method and deadlines. So there is a separate submission form for each category. So there is a submission form for category A and a submission form for category B. You will find those both on our website as well as in the RFP. And again, there are different deadlines for each category. Category A is August 7th and category B is August 14th. Proposals will not be accepted via email or any other method, so please plan to submit your proposal via the submission forms on time. If you have any issues or any concerns with submitting your proposal, please reach out and let us know. Submit a question in the question submission form. Again, if you're having any technical issues, feel free to email the procurement email for that, and I can assist you with that. Okay, so evaluation and selection. The evaluation process is as follows. So category A and category B will be evaluated separately. And for each category, we have 3 phases essentially. So there is the responsiveness phase, and the responsiveness phase is where procurement reviews the submissions to ensure that you've submitted everything in accordance with the criteria that or the requirements that I just specified. So it's in the proper format, it's in the right order, you've included all of your attachments and all of the information that we asked for. Upon verifying that that's been completed, we then forward your proposals to the evaluation panel that will be scoring your proposals. Once the evaluation panel scores the proposals, they will determine who will be invited to interviews. And then the next phase is interviews. And so you will be notified of that and invited. We would coordinate that with you. And again, our intent is to coordinate that for the dates that are identified in the schedule. After the interviews are conducted, the proposals are evaluated based on the interview and scored by the selection panel. The selected proposers for each task or category, again, depending on what is received and what the evaluation panel decides, there will be notice of who will be awarded. So we would send out a notice of intent to award and an invitation to enter into negotiations. I do want to note that proposers who are not moved on to the next area, if you're identified as a non-responsive proposer, or if you are not selected to interview, you will receive a notice that's going to let you know that. So the evaluation factors identified in the RFP are qualifications and experience, past success, approach, price and contractual terms, and then bonus points. And the RFP explains what information you need to submit for those areas. So the bonus point opportunities, I want to call this out. This will not apply to everyone, but it is an opportunity. Proposers may receive bonus points by meeting the specified criteria and providing required documentation for the bonus points. So the 4 areas are San Diego County employment, disabled veteran business enterprises, persons with disabilities, business enterprises, and small business certification. Something to know is that you can only pursue 2 of the criteria for a maximum of up to 10 bonus points. So feel free to take a look at that if you're interested in that. Community Power encourages diverse businesses to seek contracting opportunities with us. So we are interested in collecting information as well. And the proposers are asked to self-disclose whether they fall under any of these categories as well. We do use this information for reporting out to the CPUC. And so I have some links here just in case you're interested in that. I do want to say that we don't use any demographic information as a way to make decisions or as part of the selection process. We just use the information for compliance as part of our reporting obligations. So we do have in the RFP, there is an opportunity, or there is note regarding exceptions to the agreement. I do encourage you, if you haven't already, it's a link on the website under the solicitation where we have a sample agreement for your review. So we encourage you to review the sample agreement in advance prior to submitting your proposal, particularly focusing on the insurance requirements and indemnification provisions prior to submitting what you propose, so that you can consider those things. Any exceptions to the agreement must be clearly noted in the proposal. So make sure that if you are taking any exceptions, you are identifying that. If you're not submitting exceptions, we do assume that you are certifying that you're not taking any exceptions to the agreement. We also want to note that submitting exceptions may be reason for rejection of a proposal. Generally, if there are too many exceptions, that is something that we oftentimes have to consider. But just keep in mind, I mean, I would absolutely make sure that you're looking at that to ensure that you can meet the obligations. I do want to also call out, there is a pending addendum that we're going to be issuing for category B specifically. So this is not official yet. We are going to be issuing an addendum that has been approved, and it's going to be posted on the website. I just want to summarize what that will consist of so that you are aware, but I do want to note that the addendum has not been issued, and so currently this information is not yet effective. So it is only effective upon issuance of the addendum. And again, I want to remind you to make sure that before you're submitting your proposal, you verify that no additional addendum have been issued. So for category B, Community Power may consider, Community Power may consider the proposer's agreement. So category B proposers will be requested to submit their form of agreement with their proposal submission package. The proposer's form of agreement may be considered as an alternative to Community Power's professional services agreement. And submission of your agreement does not constitute acceptance of this agreement by Community Power. I haven't seen any questions in there. I don't know. I can pause for a second if anyone has any questions. Again, I would encourage you to use the Q&A box, not just the standard chat box. If not, um, I'm going to move on. I believe the next section is the scope of work, and Janine will take it from here.
Great, thank you, Crystal. I know that there's a lot in this RFP, so I'm going to go over the different categories and tasks in the time that we have left. So to start with category A, San Diego Community Power, we're looking for updated load forecasting services. For awareness, we offer retail electric service and we have approximately 8,000 gigawatt hours of annual load, just to give you some context to our size and the load that we're looking at. So Community Power is looking to evaluate load forecasting options as we continue just to improve the accuracy of our day-ahead demand bids in the short term. And we're looking for load forecasting options to complement our internal load forecasting for the long term. So task one is specific to the short-term load forecasting. And we are looking for highly reliable and accurate short-term load forecasting. And the primary purpose of this will be to be used for our daily demand bids and submitted to CAISO through our scheduling coordinator. So we are looking for the short-term forecast to be updated daily, and it must provide an hourly weather-adjusted 14-day load forecast of Community Power's aggregate load. The short-term load forecast also needs to be made available to Community Power's scheduling agent who's performing our scheduling services in a timely manner so that they are prepared to submit those for our daily demand bids. Just please note, Community Power, we don't have access to real-time SCADA data, and the provider will have to use a combination of ESQMD data and ASQMD data. And those are available approximately. ESQMD is estimated settlement quality, and that's available approximately 8 days after the fact. ASQMD is available approximately 52 days after the fact. Listed here are the deliverables that we expect with that and the timeline. So I think I hit everything there, Crystal.
There is a question, and I'm not sure if the RFP specifically addresses it, so we can, I'm not sure if you can respond or if we want to hold this question to respond to later. But the question is, are there any specific guidelines around the weekly forecast error report? What types of metrics would need to be included? So I'm not sure if we answered that in the RFP.
I don't think that's specifically in the RFP. I think that's a question we should formally answer because I could name something, but I might be missing it, and I want to give you a complete list.
Perfect. So just so that everyone is aware, we will provide a response to that later.
Okay, and Community Power is also separately looking for long-term load forecasting services to complement the load forecasts that we are doing in-house. So we are looking for experienced and qualified providers for a long-term forecast tool or service to help support our power resource planning needs. I did include here some of what we are expecting, including forecasted megawatt hour, megawatt monthly coincident peak megawatt, and hourly megawatt based on our customer load profiles. We are looking for updates to this load forecast as needed to maintain accuracy, but no less than twice a year. I think in the RFP, I did state we have a preference for quarterly updates if that's possible, but no less than twice a year. And if we see something going sideways, we do want to make sure that we get it back on track to maintain the accuracy. And long-term forecasts are expected to include sensitivity and statistical analysis based on historic weather and historic customer loads that we will provide the data that we have. And should I be answering some of these questions? Yes, let me answer those questions. I want to make sure I get the exact right answer after the fact.
We can answer them later. I am capturing them, so we can provide responses. I'm capturing when they've come up.
Yes. And Crystal, I did notice a slight typo in your earlier slide, and I apologize for not catching that. In category A, the optional compliance task that's associated with the long-term load forecast, not the short-term load forecast. So really the long-term forecast, we need, one of the requirements is to have it in formatting available for us to submit to the CEC, CPUC for any compliance reporting. So the optional task associated with the long-term forecast is just to take on some of those compliance submittal duties for us. So this is probably the only task that is directly related to another task. And it is 100% optional. Just to take, we're looking for the long-term forecasting. But if a provider wants to commit to making all those filings for us, we're definitely interested. All right. And then category B, you get 1 extra week before your proposals are due. And very high level, again, we offer retail electric service. We have approximately 8,000 gigawatt hours of annual load, and Community Power is a registered CAISO scheduling coordinator, and we have our own SCID. So we do expect whoever is awarded the scheduling services to act as a scheduling agent and submit schedules using SDCP's SCID. And additionally, in category B, so we are looking to evaluate scheduling and CRR services, and additionally, we're looking to evaluate energy storage optimization services from qualified third parties. For scheduling, the selected agent will be responsible for submitting Community Power's daily demand bids and our resource bids and all our schedules, and ensure that we're meeting all of the CAISO scheduling requirements. If the proposals for energy storage optimization services alone, we are looking for a cloud-based service and something that, again, we can provide to our scheduling coordinator, at least have that data connection so that they are able to submit all our schedules on time daily. And this RFP came about just as Community Power is continuing to grow. We have a lot of PPAs that have been signed and are in the pipeline and working to come online. So here I did include just some of the high-level summary of some of the resources that SDCP is bringing online in the next 2 years. We do have additional resources planned for 27, 28. But here are the first that we expect, and obviously these are all subject to change, but this is the plan that we currently have for new resources. All right, so task 1 for scheduling coordinator services encompasses all scheduling coordinator duties on behalf of Community Power in the CAISO markets, and to coordinate scheduling dispatch of Community Power's power supply resources. This includes, but it's not limited to, full day ahead and real-time scheduling, bidding, monitoring, and outage management. Again, it would be under SDCP's SCID. Deal capture services. So Community Power is semi-unique in that we do have an internal deal capture system. So we are not looking for the provider to provide full deal capture services. However, we just want to make sure when you submit your proposal to understand all the requirements, any formatting and timing, to make sure that our system is able to, that we get everything set up to get all the data in a timely manner to the scheduling agent. So please, we don't necessarily need deal capture services, but we do need to know what you need for scheduling. Included is reporting and data services. So when it comes to Community Power's resources and our load and anything in the market, that data needs to be available for Community Power to retrieve on demand. It should include resource performance. It should include any important CAISO market updates. Yes. And included in category B, there is a miscellaneous services, and that just encompasses working with us. Really, we see our SC as a partner to develop processes and protocol consistent with utility standards to make sure that all critical operations are maintained. Next slide, please. So listed here are the task 1 deliverables and some expected timelines. So a lot of these transition activities, they are set up for a new agreement. We'd like to transition at the end of Q1 to a new scheduling agreement. And so the dates have been planned around that. And do you want me to go through them or? All right. Task 2, category B, is CRR services or congestion revenue rights. And this may stay with whoever does our scheduling in task 1, but we are open to separating the work if there is a benefit for Community Power. Since we're doing this, we're looking to evaluate that and really looking for providers to support our CRR services for all long-term, all annual, and all monthly allocations and auctions. And this includes just support with our CRR bid strategy, development, and implementation, and also just provide portfolio performance reports some after the fact analysis related to CRRs for community power. And here are listed some of the anticipated deliverables and the timelines. Again, these are, most of the timelines are around the CAISO's monthly process and getting our internal staff everything we need to support and get everything submitted on time as is best for community power. And next slide. Finally, in task B, or category B, task 3 is energy storage optimization software services. So I shared in the earlier slide some of the planned resources that Community Power has signed PPAs with and is bringing online. So we are also looking to evaluate and procure some optimization software to help us manage these resources in the market. Some of our desired optimization capabilities are included here, but compliance award bidding, we want bids to meet all RA obligations, outage aware adjustments, just to make sure that it communicates and the impact of OMS and any outages going on at the resource. We're looking, support market research and adaptability. When CAISO makes changes, that we are ready to adapt and make those changes as well. We're looking for price forecasting and tiered bidding. We are looking for user interface and override capabilities if needed. And also just included with the optimization, we are looking again for a partner just to support us with the risk and strategy customization as it applies to our energy storage resources. Next slide. And so here are some of the deliverables and the expected timeline. And again, the optimization services does need to be integrated into SDCP's systems and made available so that our scheduling agent is able to submit bids and schedules as needed. Yep.
Okay, so I've been tracking questions in there and I have captured the questions that have been submitted so that we can provide responses.